Coming up on today's DNVR Nuggets podcast, we've got notes from Nuggets practice, where myself and Brendan Vogt just were. We're going to talk about Nuggets-Celtics, the national TV showdown that's tomorrow. And also, I rank Nikola Jokic's best suits ever. I'm going to reveal that list coming up after this. Yes. Back in the sun. Another week of shows.
Why not?
Why not? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the DNVR Nuggets podcast. We are presented, as always, by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code DNVR365. Deposit $10. Place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. Here on a Monday, Harrison, Wind and Brendan Vogt coming to you live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your Front Range Toyota stores. Of course, Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. What's going on, Vogt?
How's it going, man? I'm in a better mood than my outfit suggests. Really Monday outfit. This is a double XL sweatshirt. So
what does that even say on that sweatshirt?
Cars. Yeah. Which I didn't think about when I busted it out for the show. Stop. This is a car. It's from Cars Land at Disneyland.
Oh, like it's from the gift shop that you go into after you get off the ride.
That's right. Well, it's a whole world, Harrison. But yes,
I was just there.
Yeah, I'm bringing some real Monday energy to the show.
Did you buy that sweatshirt?
It was bought for me by a very caring and real girlfriend that I have.
Oh, we love the sweatshirt then.
Yeah. We rekindled our love at Disneyland. Real adult stuff. What do you got?
Awesome.
Yeah.
I wasn't in Disneyland. I was in Vegas last week.
No, that's very different.
That's why I was not on either of the most recent post-game shows.
Did you get any sweatshirts?
I did not get any sweatshirts. Had the opportunity to, did not. But yeah, it was a great time. I did miss two Nuggets games, a win and a loss against the Spurs.
You missed two games that went the exact same way with different results. Really. So
I did watch the games though. I had the phone out at dinner for one of them, watching the OT. Just 40 points in his sleep. That's what Nikola Jokic is doing lately.
Really, truly.
I was thinking about this last weekend when he had these two games against the Spurs. I remember back when we used to be like, oh, if Jokic wanted to, he could average 30 a game. If he wanted to, he doesn't want to. Now this season he wants to / has to, and he's averaging more than 30 a game.
Yeah.
It's just kind of funny.
Yeah. And
how we were right about that.
And still maintaining his efficiency, right? Which is, going back to the whole make Jokic a scorer question. It's really just how healthy does Denver's offense look on any given night? And if it's not healthy enough, he'll rescue it, which he knows he has to at times this year, which is different than his preference. I mean, this is actually one of the ways in which Jokic and LeBron do have some comparisons, in my opinion. They are guys who...
Yeah, good point.
...prefer to dictate, in different ways than just bucket getting, thinking the game, controlling the game. When do I press my button versus getting my other guys kind of warmed up? So...
Yeah. It's been fun to see him be in this mode for this season, though.
Super fun.
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing long term. Probably good, but it's been fun to watch.
Well, I mean, not always fun because there are some nights where we prefer the offense is healthier, but fun to watch the numbers he's putting up because, to your initial point, this is something he could have been doing. And he really is closer to the very top of the conversation of best scorers in the league than some of his surface level stats would suggest, because he's just so damn efficient while not putting up 30 every night. But now he is, and you're seeing that it's pretty easy for him.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was just looking at the Player of the Week graphic that the NBA put out. Jokic won Player of the Week, second time this season in the Western Conference. Jason Tatum, your boy, won it in the East. kind of setting up this showdown tomorrow, Nuggets-Celtics. But Tatum averaged 25.5 points, 8 rebounds, 4.5 assists.
Great
Pretty
numbers.
good stats.
Good numbers.
Celtics went 3-1, great numbers. Jokic averaged 36.5 points, 16.5 rebounds, 11.3 assists. He pretty much doubled Tatum's rebounds and assists and averaged 11 more points per game. That's so ridiculous.
The stuff that you pencil Jokic in for every night, right? Like we fight every day not to take him for granted. It's almost impossible because Jokic puts up the numbers he does against Wemby in game 2. And I'm sitting here thinking, going, man, the story tonight is Mike's second half, which it kind of was. But in truth, you look at the box score and you're like, that's only because we assumed Jokic would put up all universe numbers. And, you said he did it in his sleep. Push back a little just insofar as I thought Wemby really, really made him work for it. But Jokic can still just do it. Like you're saying, okay, this is a matchup where maybe, he sped him up. He was really wary of where Wemby was. And in the end, he still put up that efficient 40 piece. So it's just who Jokic is. And even as we appreciate Wemby and everything he's going to be already and what he'll be in the future, we tend to place such a value on the future in sports.
Especially the NBA.
The NBA. What is this guy going to be? Meanwhile, there is a guy already being everything you could ever hope he'd be. And I really, really like this matchup already, and it should only get better as the years go on.
Yeah. We'll get to practice notes, but I didn't even put hangover takes in the rundown. Did you have any hangover takes from either of those games? Wemby, Jokic, the matchup, Westbrook, Jamal, whatever it might be, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten 2 shows now to kind of talk about the same team, so I do feel like we've hit most of it. The one thing we didn't really get in game 2 to talk about on the show, we talked about how well Mike played, specifically Harrison, how well he played in the non-Jokic minutes. So Mike scored 7 points without Jokic on the floor to open that fourth, and Jokic delivered the win. But that, I think, is the moment where it went from maybe a surefire loss to a game they could win. And we don't usually see that from either Mike or Jamal, frankly, without Jokic on the floor. So that was cool. And the other thing were Malone's adjustments, particularly having Jokic guard Chris Paul, turning Chris Paul into a screener, something you could not have done in the peak Chris Paul Suns days, but you could do it now. And, it's funny, like when you play the same team twice in a row, that is a series.
Yep.
And the Nugget, Jokic and Malone they're a combo that you might get them once, but they'll adjust.
Yeah. One hangover take I had, and again, I was watching on my phone at dinner. I didn't watch the full game like I normally do, but the Nuggets' last play, where they, drew up the play, Jokic got the jumper, probably was fouled, and it went into overtime of this second Spurs game. I tweeted this out and got some pushback for it, but I think it's a valid point. The fact that the Nuggets' default end-of-game play is not the Murray-Jokic two-man game anymore, that's kind of jarring, at least to me, somebody who's pretty much watched every game of the Jokic era and watched how those two, just became the structure of the Nuggets offense, especially late in games when you really need a bucket. And look, they got a great shot out of it. Jokic probably makes that shot 7-8 times out of 10. Probably got fouled on it too. So I'm not knocking the play.
Sure.
It was a good play.
You're just noticing.
Just the fact that it's not just default Murray-Jokic two-man game. And yes, you got Westbrook on the floor, who you need to change some things because of his spacing and his strengths and weaknesses. You don't have KCP spacing in one corner. You really just have Mike as the only shooter that teams have to pay attention to. So you got all that stuff too. But it is a little surprising that still there's not really a thought in either of these last 2 games when they really needed a bucket. Oh, we're just going to go Murray-Jokic two-man game.
I really do think that is all about the Westbrook spot starts. And if it sounds like I'm blaming Russ, it just sort of, it's not about that. You're noticing how it all works out and how it might be different when Aaron Gordon returns. I would wager, Harrison, when Aaron Gordon returns, it'll probably look something more like what we're used to in those clutch 5 minutes. Maybe Russ does close for Christian here and there, but if he doesn't, I would think the ball's in Jamal's hands. As long as Russ is out there, in just the game before when they lost, he was in the corner and his guy was able to really help all the way across the floor. So there is something to, you put the ball in his hands. That makes a ton of sense. But I do wonder how much this would normalize, stabilize, if and when Aaron Gordon returns.
Maybe. Yeah. Because him and the dunker is the third part of that 2-man game.
And then maybe Russ would be off the floor, and then you just put the ball back in Jamal's hands because you're not as worried about the Russ off-ball spacing. So that's one of the weird things there. We've almost kind of glossed over how much of this season has gone by without Aaron Gordon in it. Like the Nuggets have had to do a lot of, this isn't what we normally would do, this is what we'll do now. So it's thrown a wrench, I think, in the rotation.
Yeah. On that note, we were both at Nuggets practice this morning. Aaron Gordon did participate in parts of practice. We spoke with Russell Westbrook, Julian Strawther, Michael Malone. Do you want to hit on some practice notes here from this morning?
Yeah, sure. The big one, Calvin Booth and both Cronkies were present today, which at first I was wondering what that was about. I think we did get our answer. In fact, Calvin Booth left briefly, returned with this custom frame jersey.
This was so cool.
So cool. In that original tweet there, we've edited it. You'll see I referred to it as a banner in the tweet. That is incorrect. It is not a banner. It is a custom jersey, more like a plaque, something Malone can put up in his office. And so there's no intention of hanging anything in the arena right now, as they did with the Mo 432 banner. Obviously, Malone is not done. He might pick up more wins. 433 won't be the final one. So this is not a banner. This is just a plaque that Calvin Booth had made up, for Malone to celebrate his accomplishment of passing Doug Moe, and just a cool moment here to see all four guys of the Brain Trust kind of celebrating together. And there you go. Malone turns around. You get a good look at it. 433, it says on the back.
This was a really cool moment, and it's cool that, Calvin was there and ownership was there to present it. And I'm trying to think back. When he did pass Doug Moe and got win 433, we did honor it at the arena. Like there was a recognition of it. But it's such an impressive and notable mark that Michael Malone is now the Nuggets all-time leader in wins. That's a big deal. I feel like it deserves maybe even a little more celebration than it got. So I'm glad that Calvin had that made up. It looks cool. It's a really cool gesture, and it was a cool moment at practice.
I wonder if the bigger gesture would come when the dust is settled, right? So to your point, Doug Moe does have his own banner with 432. That's how big a deal that number was. Malone's still working, still hoping to win some more. He's
I'm sure though when Malone retires they
he
will
would get his
do
own,
a banner of that as well.
But he spoke it on this as well. It's kind of how he likes it. He says his father taught him it's not really about you as a coach. This is a moment he's proud of, but he knows it's about his players, the organization, the Cronkies that showed patience. So he's fine with it kind of being a quick thing that happened off to the side. Luckily, though, the media was there to capture it, and I thought it was a cool moment.
Yeah, it was really cool.
As you just touched on, Aaron Gordon will not play against Boston. He did participate in some parts of practice today. He was suited up, so definitely progress there in the Aaron Gordon department. Again, though, he will not play against the Boston Celtics tomorrow.
And that's too bad, man, because, Boston's definitely a team you want Aaron Gordon for. Against Jason Tatum, against Jaylen Brown. I do like how the Nuggets are being real cautious. It's a smart thing to do. And, they've had guys really step up in his absence, but it is a big missing ingredient from this season so far. Aaron Gordon has just not had the steady impact that we're used to.
And some nice spot starts from Russ and Peyton Watson, right? That help you feel like, okay, you're not noticing it as much. But the truth is, whenever Aaron Gordon comes back, you realize what a big part he is of this team's identity. And they have not had him now for, I think, roughly half the season. We did hear from Julian Strawther, and I just have one note on Julian Strawther, who was asked about the biggest thing he thinks he needs to improve right now. Julian said, it is all about defense for me, and that will probably be my thing as long as I'm in this league. So he's really working to get better on that end. He was asked specifically if there's anything he thinks he's getting better at or realizing. He says he knows he's fouling too much. Difference between aggressive defense and committing those and ones and fouling. So that's something he's really trying not to do as much. But for what it's worth, we spent a lot of time talking about Julian's defense. He knows it. He knows it. And this is what he's working to improve. And then, of course,
very glad he knows it.
Yeah. And then, of course, we heard from Russell Westbrook, who was asked, some questions about playing with Jokic. And he says, we do talk to each other throughout the game a lot, but a lot of the time we communicate without having to say nothing. This is a quote, we'd be thinking the same thing. And you can see that, man. These are two guys where Russ will just fire the pass before the window's open. Jokic's not even looking, but he's got that hand out. And so they just know. They just know what the right play is, how each other want to play, and it hasn't taken much time for them to figure out that's been really, really cool. My favorite quote of the day, though, is a longer answer from Russell Westbrook. Asked about the energy he manages to bring every single night, despite being almost 30. What is he, 36 now? Is he 30? 17th year in the league? He was asked, is that about your mentality, taking care of your body? How does that work? Russ said, quote, appreciating the value of the game of basketball. That's something I try to teach to my AAU kids, my kids, not taking a game for granted, a practice for granted. My mentality every night is to leave it on the floor. The next game is not promised to you by any means. That's the mark I want to leave on the game. Yes, I take care of my body and things like that. But mentally, I start my mentality from when I wake up to game time. And lastly, he said he just wants to be someone that Malone feels like he can trust in all these different moments and that his teammates can trust. That's just the kind of player he wants to be.
Love that. I want to talk a little bit more about those Russell Westbrook quotes, but let's hit a quick break first, and we'll do that right on the other side.
You know we love Breckenridge Brewery here at DNVR. Got to tell you about this Breck Brew Ice Deck giveaway they're doing. 2 VIP tickets on the glass, complimentary food and drink. This is on March 28th for St. Louis. Entering is very simple. Just go to breckbrew.com/ice deck to enter. That link is also in our show notes. And while we're talking Breck Brew, I got to remind you to try their new West Coast style IPA. It's the Ridge Runner. Great looking can, great looking design, and it tastes as good as it looks, honestly. If you're looking for any kind of Breckenridge Brewery product, you got to check out the beer locator at breckbrew.com to find a brew near you.
Also, check out our friends over at Shady Rays. Look, I know it's January here, but in Colorado, we got great weather. You absolutely still need Shady Rays. I've got like 10 pairs of them by now. Wear them every day. Go to shadyrays.com. Just browse their entire collection there. They've got every type of style, color, shape, size you could want in a sunglass. And look, in Colorado, really, probably wherever you are, you could find a use for Shady Rays year round. So you can go to shadyrays.com and get 35% off polarized sunglasses with the code DNVR just for our listeners. It's their best deal of the season. Shadyrays.com. Use the code DNVR. 35% off polarized sunglasses. Their shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. They're legit. Our go-to sunglass company here at DNVR. They also have a great guarantee where if you don't love your shades, you can exchange them for a new pair or return them worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. They've always got your back. So go to shadyrays.com, use the code DNVR, 35% off polarized sunglasses. All right, and we're back here on the DNVR Nuggets podcast, presented by Bet365, Never Ordinary, and use the code DNVR365 when you sign up. Play along with us at Bet365. You were talking about that Westbrook quote before we hit that break there, man. This was such an awesome media session from Westbrook, and you can check it out, the entire presser posted on our YouTube channel after the show. But I loved the quote he had about how he was talking about how hard he plays, the energy he plays, and he said, like, that's the mark I want to leave on the game. I want people to remember me. He didn't say this verbatim, but this is what he was getting at.
Right.
Like, I want people to remember me as the guy who played his ass off every night, effort, energy, every minute that I'm on the court for, and that's what I want to pass on to the next generation of players, like both my AAU team and also the young guys in this locker room. I thought that was so cool because, man, if everybody played as hard as Russell Westbrook did, that might save the NBA. I don't think that's possible for everybody to do that, but if more guys did it, it'd be so great for the game because he just plays at a different level and with a different energy, man. And it's
We lost the camera.
It's been so good to watch this year. It's been so fun to watch. And like, look, I've been dead wrong about Russell Westbrook for most of what he's done with the Nuggets so far. Like, I did not think he was going to be this good, not even close. And one area where I just didn't give him enough credit was the energy and effort thing. I knew that was kind of the rep about him, but I didn't really believe it.
Yeah.
And it's been the case, man. And it's one of the big reasons why he's been such a success here.
It's quite literally awesome in the actual sense of that word. It's when the closer you get to it, the harder it is to believe. Especially, man, so I'm 31 now, which is it's not that old, right? It's kind of old. You do start to get tired. You do. I'm serious. Like you do start to there's a way you want to attack life when you're 19. And it just seems the way that Russ still attacks basketball at age 36 and year 17. It's remarkable, man. And I
like, look at some of the guys who are in their 20s and how they play. And then look at Russell Westbrook, how he plays in his mid to later 30s.
It's unbelievable. He dives on the floor for loose balls. That tip out he had on the loose ball from, like, it went to Harrison Barnes and it got bounced high on the floor.
Yeah.
And he's in the air for like 3.5 seconds. Obviously, there's some on some level, I think Westbrook was born as an innate athlete and an outlier athlete.
Oh, he's in the top 1% of the 1%. Yeah.
But then he's done everything on top of it, the conditioning, the mentality. And it's stuff that I think you kind of, from a distance, you hear about it. At times you even maybe roll your eyes at it. Like, then you seeing it here, it's different. There's levels to this. And a lot of professionals are nowhere close to his level. And that's, if there's one thing you could hope that rubs off on the Nuggets, it's just this, like, hey man, every game you get is just is a blessing and an opportunity. And the way complacency is just not even part of his vocabulary is the biggest thing I picked up.
Yeah. You got any other notes from practice? Any observations from today?
Last two guys shooting, Spencer Jones and Jamal Murray.
Oh yeah, Jamal Murray got up a lot of shots
today. That stuff never, I don't, take it for whatever it's worth or whatever it isn't. But that is, Jamal Murray was getting a lot of shots up today. I would just say that I think the team is, as usual, probably maybe slightly more optimistic about where they're at. Like Julian was saying, I think we're in a good spot. I do. They know there's more work to be done, but I don't think with every step back for the team, and now we're never going to do it, and they feel like they're getting closer and closer to where they want to be. And it's a big opportunity, man. This Boston game, as daunting as it is also an opportunity to show that you're further than you were when the season tipped off.
I mean, that's what I always tell people. It's always not as bad and not as good as it seems inside the walls of an organization. Like the Nuggets, like we fly way higher and lower than the Nuggets. Everybody does. The fan base does. Everybody. Teams are much more even keel.
Yep.
They get way less excited.
Yep.
They get way less high and way less low. Like they stay way more in the middle. But I would agree that the overall vibes are definitely not of a team that's panicking anymore, or like they might have been maybe a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
There's not the same uneasy feeling, or at least that's not what I get. I don't think they're convinced they're going to win a championship right now.
Sure.
But I also don't think they're in the mode of we have to make a big trade anymore, which I don't know if they were, but it felt like they might have had some thoughts about that 3 weeks ago.
I mean, it was even kind of acknowledged in the quotes, right? Let's call it a month ago now. DeAndre Jordan said, I would say that the team hasn't reached the blame game yet.
Yep.
Which is when you're usually done. But even that quote, I think, kind of concedes and implies that in some way things are heading in the wrong direction. I would say since that moment, things seems to be headed in a better direction.
Yeah.
I think guys are having more fun coming to work right now, playing basketball with each other. There's a lot of work left to do, and they all know it. But Jordan also had a quote in that same media session now where he's talking about the Wizards game. And I do think there's a balance as an athlete where you have to know that that's not acceptable. That's below the standard. You can't play that way. And at the same time, there's a mental thing you have to do. You also just have to learn how to let it go in an 82-game season. So players are always in a different headspace than we are with this stuff. Well, curious to see how that manifests on the floor tomorrow.
Tomorrow, the Celtics are in town. Well, maybe they're in town right now. But Nuggets and Celtics play tomorrow. National TV. This is the biggest game in Denver in a bit. This season? I mean, maybe Thunder opening night felt big.
It's the biggest game this season.
Yeah.
Because the Nuggets feel like if they can get a signature win, you could go, all right, there's something bubbling here.
Right. So this is going to be a big game, and it has the feel of a big game too. Here's the skinny on Boston right now. They're actually in a bit of a slide. They're just 5-5 in their last 10. Obviously coming off this loss to OKC. 26-10 overall. Still second in the East behind Cleveland. Let me just give you some stats on the Nuggets-Celtics and then kind of your take on this game. 3-point shooting. that could tell the story of this game. The Celtics lead the NBA in three-point shooting. They're shooting 53s per game. The Nuggets are last in the NBA in three-point shooting. They're only shooting 31 threes per game. And on that note, Celtics making this season 7 more threes than Nuggets per game. But, here's the but. Last 10 games, Nuggets offense ranks second in the NBA. Celtics rank fourth. So lately, the Nuggets have actually had a better offense than Boston, despite not shooting anywhere close to the same amount of threes. Last 10 games, Nuggets defense also ranks 25th. Celtics are 7th. This, to me, is going to be the ultimate game where I feel like I'm going to make my declaration mostly about the Nuggets defense. Like, if the Nuggets play well defensively in this game, they're able to run some guys off the line, limit some of the Celtics threes, take away some of their really high quality looks. I feel like I'm going to convince myself that the Nuggets defense can just step up and flip the switch.
Right.
If they get run out of the gym, I might be like, yeah, the Nuggets defense might be hopeless this year. I feel like defensively, this game is going to mean a lot just for how people view Denver's defense.
Yeah. So in the title year, the question was, okay, does the defense they play in the final 5 minutes mean more than what we see? And this year, I'd say it's kind of more like half to half. Does what they're willing to do in the second half kind of tell us more than what they were willing to do in the first half? I would maintain that so far, to me, the biggest difference is they do have a bit of a switch like they did that year. That's why they're a comeback team, a clutch time team. But the defense in those moments is a bit worse. Like when they were really, really good that year, they were good on both sides of the ball. And I think right now in crunch time, they're closer to, I think, 15th in crunch time defense, where they're as elite offensively. But there is something too. That is the question we're trying to. They have not shown us much of a defensive ceiling, in terms of a championship team here so far. But the question you're asking yourselves, is there another level they can get to? When they do it in the fourth, does that tell us something? So, does one game give us all the answers? No. But I do think it'll tell us a lot if they're willing and able to play a different level of defense against this team, because this is a measuring stick game. And I think both of these teams look at it the same way, right? Even despite Denver falling short last year, I think both Boston and Denver looks at this matchup and goes, like, we got to show the other one what we're made of.
Yeah. Who do you think has the most pressure on them when you're talking about Nuggets guys for this game?
Jamal. I think it's just going to be on Jamal all year, man.
Yeah. I mean, he's usually the answer to that question. But I think especially coming off these last two San Antonio games.
That's the thing. Because he had
14 points on 6-17 shooting, 13 points on 6-17 shooting. I mean, it's just not good.
100%. And it's after his kind of typical December rise. Has a bit of a fiery press conference, which could be viewed as a good thing, right? Murray kind of feeling himself. Then a couple of steps back since. So, look, man, I think the pressure is going to be on Jamal all year. Every time he doesn't perform, these conversations will swell. But if he has a big game against a strong opponent, right, like it could also go a long way towards alleviating some anxiety. So, again, you always want to, one game doesn't going to give you all the answers, but it does feel like this one will be illuminating to some extent.
You've got the Jamal factor in this game, and then you've got the Michael Porter factor. I saw this tweet from Jake Coyne this morning, the Stat Squatch, friend of the show. I don't know if you could find this, Kale, but he said that Nikola Jokic and Michael Porter have each scored over 20 points in 5 consecutive games, 5 straight games. They're the first pair of Nuggets teammates to do so in 5 straight games since Carmelo Anthony and Allen Iverson in 2008.
It is remarkable, Harrison, that Porter got to this before Jamal did.
How?
Well, what's the key word? What's the key word there? Consecutively, right? Which is
a wild stat.
And that's the thing about Jamal in the regular season and trying to parse this out. And is this just more of the same, and then he'll be good in the playoffs? So he consistently, consecutively, those are not the words you attach to his strong performances, unfortunately. And yeah, honestly, that was my first takeaways. It's crazy that Mike got to this before Jamal did.
Absolutely wild. And you've got Porter coming off, that second half, the non-Jokic minutes you were just talking about against the Spurs, where he really grabbed a hold of that game. And, Porter's season so far, I've been a little disappointed with him defensively. Offensively, he's done his job. He's played his role. He's been there enough. And I mean, a big Porter game with the trade rumors from weeks ago, and that are even still people making them want to pop up. But a big Porter game in this spot on national TV, that could maybe like silence all the trade rumors for good.
Another thing too, and it's a sneaky part of his season that I've been monitoring. In the past, Porter would have some nice games, but then you'd play Memphis, Boston, Cleveland, real physical teams with good defenses, and they would just eat his lunch, man. Like bullies, they would just take it from him. This year, a lot of Mike's really good games have been against good teams. Even when other guys didn't play so well, I liked his approach against Cleveland. He dunked on Wemby in that. Not that the Spurs are great, but just the paint aspect of that. I thought he's played well against Minnesota, Cleveland, Dallas so far, even OKC. So that's another maybe little bit of like, is there some growth there that Porter's more ready to be aggressive against these stouter defenses and better teams? I would just love to see him stay just as aggressive and confident in this matchup. It would go such a long way, I think, towards buying into what Porter's put together here, not in the regular season, but in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I think doing it against Boston would be, obviously for me, just a real treat.
All right, let's hit another break. I want to say one final part about this game when it comes to Nikola Jokic and what he's got at stake. Then I don't know if you guys saw this. Bradley Beal might want to come to Denver.
Whoa.
We'll talk about that on the other side.
We've always got the games on at DNVR, but lately our friends at Red Hawk Roofing have been sponsoring these watch parties. If you haven't made it out, you have to. Great vibes, great time, and great giveaways, including tickets to future Nuggets games. So keep your eyes peeled for those Red Hawk Roofing sponsored watch parties, and also keep your eyes peeled for their services. Red Hawk Roofing, they're the best roofers in Denver. They're a part of the DNVR team. Quality materials, decades of experience, quick response time, and just members of the community who want to build reputation through word of mouth. They're not interested in ripping you off. This is the industry that can be kind of, if you don't know what you're talking about, you may end up paying more than you have to. That's just not the case with Red Hawk Roofing. Real community guys you can trust. Supporting your local teams means also supporting local businesses like Red Hawk Roofing. If you're looking for a new roof over your home or business, be sure to check out Red Hawk Roofing at redhawkroofing.com or call 720-771-8921. Tell them DNVR sent you.
Also, shout out to Toyota. It's the official vehicle of DNVR. I like to say it's the official vehicle of Colorado. They've got everything you need for whatever type of terrain you drive. They've got trucks. They've got 17 models with available all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, like the Epic 4Runner. They've got low and zero emission vehicles as well. 16 different hybrid vehicles to choose from across the entire Toyota fleet, like the Tundra iForce Max Hybrid. They got SUVs, of course, as well, so you can explore the mountains maybe. RAV4, Grand Highlander. No matter what type of driving you do, no matter where you live, Toyota, they definitely have an option for you. So make sure to visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe, and Centennial. Corwin Toyota and Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East and Aurora, Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota, they are a proud partner of the Denver Nuggets, and they are the official vehicle of DNVR. And we're back on the DNVR Nuggets podcast, presented by Bet365. Use the code DNVR365 when you sign up and download the app. Harrison Wind and Brendan Vogt here on a Monday. We got Nuggets-Celtics tomorrow. We're previewing this game a little bit, running through some, key guys that have something at stake. Can Jokic take back the MVP in this game? Because I don't know if you saw, Chris Mannix, our guy, declared SGA officially the winner of the midseason MVP.
Well, first of all,
shout out to SGA.
I did forget we gave out that award.
Let's do the ceremony. He is the midseason MVP.
I can't argue. If he can have the midseason MVP, Harrison.
Have it. Display it.
Listen, I'll say this. The Thunder you don't have to convince me that Jokic is better than any other best player, right? Like anyone that sits on this studio on the stage right here, we get it. I'll say this. Thunder are winning a lot of games. So I get it. I I don't feel like going to war about this one at midseason. I really don't. But
let's go to war.
one thing it's just one to check back in on, because all of a sudden I think the Nuggets are a little closer to a higher seed than people realize. Maybe they don't get it. They're also close to being in the play-in again. That's how the West works.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say yes, Harrison. My point is it's early enough in the year and the Nuggets standing stuff is so kind of like could go either way that, yeah, a big nationally televised marquee performance could absolutely swing some opinions.
Yeah. No, I mean, if they want to give it to SGA, he's deserved it. Like, SGA can have it if the award was voted on today, like Chris says it is. But he's been great. He's been incredible. I agree. I think he can move back up to the top spot with a monster game. Like, that's just how these things can sway. One huge game in a marquee spot against a team like the Celtics. And you know if the Nuggets win this game, like Jokic, of course, was he have back-to-back 40-point games? If he scores 40 again, would I be surprised? No, I'm actually kind of expecting it tomorrow. And who else is going to step up? Is Jamal going to have 20-something? Is MPJ going to have 20-something? It's probably going to be a monster game from Jokic, and then like maybe somebody else can crack 30. Probably not, but like I don't know how much help he's going to have. I think just a huge game against the Celtics on national TV. People might be talking about, oh, wait, did you know Jokic is actually leading the NBA in scoring, which he could do with another 40-point game tomorrow?
Right. I completely agree. But I do think this one to me feels a bit more straightforward than some of the past ones have. Besides, well, I shouldn't say that because some of them were just straightforward, give it to Jokic. The way I'm looking at this is that I think if Denver finishes in a 4 seed or lower, probably will go to SGA.
Oh, I think if the Thunder run away with the 1 seed like they're doing, it's just going to be SGA, and like that's fine.
But by the way, I'm not no pitchforks for me there. But I would just say that I think if Jokic is able to break into a top 3 seed out west, this conversation will get pretty close because, of course, Jokic is indeed having one of the best statistical starts we have ever seen. So, team success, defense, SGA is great. There's arguments for him, but you know, they do this award at the end of the year, Harrison, for a reason, and I want to see how these next few games go.
Do you have your eyes on anybody else in this game tomorrow? Who else do you think could be an X factor?
Well,
Nuggets Celtics.
You're gonna laugh, and you should. It's on brand. But Porter, for the reasons we were talking about earlier, though, does Derek White just shut him out of this game? Does Derek White strip him every time Porter drives?
God, Derek White's so good,
right? Like, is he gonna block Porter?
Is
100
Derek
times?
White like a top 15 player in the NBA?
Don't get me started. Because yes, he's just he is actually. Probably not, but you get the idea. Role player wise, they're not going to find a better one. You're just not. And so two things. Is Porter still aggressive and just, I'm moving to my left off this DHO and I'm open, I'm shooting it. Forget it, I'm just shooting it. And then is he a little more ready for the physicality that Derek White, despite being much smaller, tends to bring to this matchup?
Yeah, I think it could be a massive game for Porter. Did the Nuggets stick with the same starting lineup? We've had Westbrook in there, and I think you could make the case for starting him or Peyton Watson, who's kind of been coming on as well. But you've got like the Celtics guards that you need to slow down. White, Holiday. You've also got Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I think maybe Michael Malone could talk himself into switching it up. But I don't know if he does. I actually don't know.
I don't think he will.
I don't think so either.
But yeah, well, I mean, who's guarding Kristaps Porzingis right now? Is it Michael Porter Jr.? Is that an insane thing that I just said out loud?
I don't know.
So, because Porzingis isn't a take you under the back. It's a rise and shoot over the top.
Well, I mean, it will probably be Jokic because they've been starting Porzingis and then Tatum, Brown, Holiday, White.
Right. Yeah.
So Horford coming off the bench.
It would be.
You'll have Jokic on Porzingis. You've got Murray on Holiday, Christian Brown on Tatum. Porter in this scenario would have to guard Tatum or Brown.
Yeah. Probably be.
Or you stick him on Holiday.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I guess the point I was getting at is that Peyton presents a nice length option for Porzingis.
Yeah.
And then a guy that can kind of switch. And like if Porzingis sets a pick, he can switch on to Tatum or Brown for sure. So like his versatility makes a lot of sense to me. in this matchup. We know Calvin Booth in his grand Peyton Watson vision. This matchup is a big part of it. A guy that could guard Tatum or Brown in theory. That's how he likes to, it's what he thinks Peyton can be. So that's a good question. My strong guess would be they don't change it though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're probably right. Should be a great game tomorrow though. We'll certainly see a lot of Peyton Watson. I don't think he'll get in the starting lineup, but I definitely want to see him play with the starters more. So should be really interesting. I'm really excited for this game. Could be a big statement game,
Huge,
marquee
man.
opponent. It feels like the biggest game of the season so far for Denver, and I hope they rise to the occasion because I'll be talking myself back into them if they do.
Look, this is the most, you try not to do it after one game, but it's going to happen after this game. If they get crushed in this game, man,
Yeah.
we know the headlines, and we know what we'll have to get up and say on this show. On the flip side, brother, if they win this game, I'm going to be pointing out that they're probably within 2 games of a third or second seed, that they have wins over OKC, Dallas, Boston. Now, that's still a big if. They'd have to go get it. But with an elite offense, I think this is a big one, man. If they go and they approach this the way you want them to, I think you can start looking at the season as a whole and go, are we sure it's a disaster? Are we sure? And not to sound so dreadfully consequentialist, it's a big game. I just want to see them approach it the right way because right now I'm trending towards feeling better about this team.
Speaking of disasters, the Phoenix Suns have made a lineup change, and we'll get into a little around the association here in segment 3. The Suns have made a lineup change. They're benching Bradley Beal and Yusuf Nurkic. Benching Yusuf Nurkic for Mason Plumlee, it might be the funniest benching in the history of the NBA. But Bradley Beal also coming off the bench. And look, a lot of speculation, and I think it's pretty obvious. They're doing this because they're going to trade Brad Beal, and they need him to waive his no-trade clause. So they're probably trying to be like, all right, we're done with you. We're going to piss you off a little bit, and we're going to trade you. I think this is just lining up for him to go the Heat for Jimmy Butler. But a report from John Gambadoro in Phoenix, who is always right about the Suns.
Yeah,
he's got the best sources. He says that Bradley Beal, one of the teams he would waive his no-trade clause to, is to go to the Denver Nuggets.
Whoa! Bill Simmons' voice. Whoa!
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 Wow! What do you think?
Well, first of all, hard pass.
Yeah, let's get that out of the way.
Let's get that out of the way.
Yeah.
But isn't it really something to see that list? LA? Yeah, all right. Miami? Yeah, all right. Denver? Whoa.
Is he a skier?
Whoa. Or is he a Jokic appreciator, Harrison Wynn? Is he a, you know what offense looks even easier to be in? That one over there.
Well, finally somebody's saying it. Finally.
That's true, man. That's true. Like, it's one that we've talked about Jeff Green, Bruce Brown, Russell Westbrook taking contracts and flyers here. But I think that is actually feels like a really, just a different, Denver's never in those conversations, man. Not that I want them to be in this one for the record.
Yeah.
But it just does feel noteworthy where you go, LA, yeah, that sounds nice. Miami, yeah, I'd like to live there. Denver, I'd like to play there. I'd like to play there.
Maybe, Conspiracy Corner, maybe Bradley Beal and his former teammate, Russell Westbrook, have been talking about how great it is to play with Nikola Jokic.
No, this is great conspiracy.
Maybe there's some back channel communication. I mean, a text message about, dude, Joker is awesome to play with.
Dude, it's actually really easy. You're either open or he's open.
Have you seen these stats I've been putting up?
He's like, bro, you would shoot really well here. You
Yeah.
would shoot really well. And all jokes aside, a healthy and perfect version of Bradley Beal in this offense. Yeah, that would work.
He would cook.
It would work.
He would absolutely
It would
cook.
work. But that's a big if. The health, the contract, just the guy that's not always available. And then also, what would the trade be? Right now, it would be what? MPJ? So, no thank you.
Or Murray.
But is that even a trade you can make right now, legally? You can't trade Jamal right now, right? Until the summer.
Yeah, so for Porter, I mean, that'd be a hard no for me. Maybe something to revisit, based on how the season goes later on. But that'd be a hard no for me. It's just kind of interesting to see Denver pop up on this list. I don't think the Nuggets have ever popped up on a list of
man.
X player will waive his no trade clause to go here.
I'd love to live in Miami.
Never happened.
I'd love to live in LA. How about Denver too? It just doesn't happen. It just doesn't. But
how do you think the situation ends up though? Do you think this is just the Heat?
it feels like it has the Heat written all over it. Without wanting to do the thing that everyone wants to do, which is give the Suns a giant benefit of the doubt for some reason. I've had no interest in doing that. Does feel like it'd be a huge trade for Phoenix.
Oh, the Suns, man, they have to do this as soon as they have the opportunity.
They have to make that trade.
You can get off Bradley Beal for Jimmy Butler, who, yes, will tear a hole through your organization in a couple years.
But you know what? That'll work. It's now or never.
But you can probably get a good year out of it, or maybe two. I would do that in a heartbeat if I'm Phoenix. If you can get Jimmy Butler out of this whole thing for Beal, that's a huge win.
I think they have to, because this isn't going to work. This is what they have going isn't going to work. And you could argue, I don't know how much he actually plays in the year 2025, but you could argue that's a guy that would do more third option stuff, defense, rebounding, winning plays, playmaking. I know Jimmy, though, also sometimes just coasts and gets credited as like, oh, he doesn't want to take a bunch of shots. It's like, no, he's not really playing very hard. But that would be a no-brainer for Phoenix, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that trade does make Phoenix way tougher. If you have a big three of Beal, or not Beal, Booker, Butler, Durant, instead of Beal, Booker, Durant, like that just changes the entire identity of your team. Suddenly you become way tougher. Suddenly you become way scarier in the playoffs. So, I mean, I would jump at that trade in a second.
Good point from the chat, though. Does Miami want anything to do with that besides just not having to deal with Jimmy Butler anymore?
I mean, look, ideally, if you're Miami, ideally, you just wait. I think you wait this thing out and you get cap space.
Right.
But you got to go another year for that because Jimmy's got this player option, I think. Do they want Bradley Beal? No. But I don't know, man. If those two want to make this happen, how it works in the NBA is those things just happen.
I would agree
Kevin
with that.
Durant wants to go to the Phoenix Suns.
I would agree with that.
How the hell are the Suns? It just kind of happens.
You're so right, man.
If Jimmy Butler, it sounds like he really wants to go to Phoenix, it might just happen. That's just how everything works in the NBA, man.
That's how things used to work. We're in a new... The new CBA is different, man. Moving these massive contracts is way harder.
You know who doesn't
than
give a
it used to
shit?
be.
The Suns. They just haven't cared at all. The Suns have operated as if the second apron does not exist. They don't care.
And this is going to be another thing. If the Suns are able to pull this off while in the second apron and still make a trade like this, I wonder if teams were a little too scared of the second apron.
On the flip side, it probably still won't work, and then you're looking at a very expensive disaster. But I get what you're saying.
We're wait, they're in the second apron and they can still make this type
all
of
these
move?
moves? What are we talking about? Whoever does trade for Bradley Beal is signing up for, at age 33, a $57 million player option.
Yeah, I'm sorry for whoever that is.
Player option. That is a tough one.
I'm sorry.
That is a tough one. But Bradley Beal, in the right moment, in the right offense, absolutely can still cook for sure. For sure.
All right. That was a good around the association segment. Let's get to our final item of business today. I thought it'd be fun, Brendan Vogt. And I don't know if it will be. This is my idea. I wanted to rank Nikola Jokic's best suits. This is a segment I've wanted to do forever on this show. Finally, I'm hosting. We're going to do it. The 10 best fits of Nikola Jokic's career.
Finally.
Are you ready?
I'm very excited.
Are you
to see
ready
what
for
you've
the
done
10
with
best
this.
suits that Nikola Jokic has ever worn?
Let's do
and
it.
I don't know if this is 10 best, but I feel like this is the 10
notable.
Yeah. If we're gonna power rank these suits,
Right.
Do you want to go 10 to 1?
I want to go 10 to 1.
Okay.
Yeah. Coming in at number 10, the corduroy ensemble.
with the turtleneck as well.
A corduroy suit is an insane power move.
It's a great look. Corduroy's making a big comeback, first of all. A lot of corduroy pants out there these days, but the full corduroy suit, and I love that he made the turtleneck his thing. I really, really do.
Could you ever pull off a corduroy suit?
No, buddy. No, I'm wearing.
I would wear a corduroy suit tomorrow.
Kale could pull it off.
Kale could pull it off.
Yeah, he could really pull it off.
I'm wearing like a double XL Cars sweatshirt. So no.
That's your very awesome girlfriend got you from Disneyland.
Shout out my girlfriend.
Yeah.
But no, I could not rock that suit.
Yeah. So coming in at number 10, I got the corduroy fit from Jokic. Okay, let's go to number 9 here. Let's see what we got at number 9. The checkered plaid looks like a Christmas edition suit.
This is loud. This was one where I thought, okay, he's not just letting the money talk here. He's going for some loudness, some peacocking going on from the big guy.
Plaid suits are great. This one, it's got some red, some blue, some yellow.
Double-breasted as well.
Double-breasted.
With a wide lapel. That's out there. I like it.
Double-breasted is kind of insane. I think that'd be insane for me or you to wear.
I think you... Well, I do think one thing is once you're 7 feet tall, you can kind of start trying stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's number 9. Let's go to number 8. This is what I call just the Vegas shirt.
Yeah.
Look at that shirt. Dude. And the collar, too.
I'm really glad you put this one in there. I'd forgotten about this one. This is high roller Jokic. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, this is Jokic at the craps table.
Dude, this is a guy that runs...
At like the win.
This is a guy that operates a hotel, and you do not want to know where the profits are really coming from.
Just the confidence to wear that collar like that. I don't have that.
I do love the idea because we've covered most of his career. It was sweatsuits the whole way.
Yeah.
And one day you're introduced to a stylist and everything changes.
Yeah. You become a different man.
A different man.
Very Serbia. I agree with the comments. It could be Miami Jokic too. I just thought of Vegas, but yeah, European club as well.
Oh yeah, that too.
All right, let's go to the next one. This is number 7.
Oh, bro. Is that
this
suede?
red and black look? I can't remember if this is suede or not.
It almost looks like a really dark pink.
This
not
is
even
like
a red.
This is a jacket you
it's
wear.
Beautiful.
This is the jacket you wear when you're in like a dark room smoking a cigar.
100%. This is a straight up gorgeous suit, actually.
Yeah.
Also, look how trim he looks, dude.
He does look trim.
Wow.
You also got the shoes, which you can kind of see, but of course the no sock look.
And it's hard to see from here in all these fits, but Jokic really has become an understated watch guy, a watch icon. He's popped up in some
watches.
GQ issues. He knows what he's doing.
This is just an insane jacket, though.
I love that, dude.
What a jacket.
What a jacket.
All right, let's move on to number 6 here. The checkered look from All-Star Weekend. What a suit.
So this is technically houndstooth. I have to semantic you.
Houndstooth.
I'm going to be honest. I think you've got this one too high. I would have this one lower than the others.
So he also had this one where he wore the jacket with it too. I forgot to send that, but he had this look where he also wore like a full jacket over it. But I love the checkered look here.
So cool.
I think this was at the All-Star game a couple years ago. And the turtleneck too. Okay,
staple.
Let's move on. Next up, Halloween orange Jokic.
I used my loudness take too early already. This was the one where this was my full new man. This was the people, there's a time where people go, he's pretty understated with the money. He's not always a flashy guy.
Yeah.
And then one day, boom, this happened.
That orange is insane.
It is an insane color, brother.
With the shirt, which also could be another Miami shirt.
Also, the full drawstring sweatband pants on slacks. I'm sure it was made custom for him that way. Iconic.
I gotta find some suits where I can just have a drawstring belt like that.
Totally, man. The biggest thing I've learned in fashion is I don't like when the waist touches my body. I want nice joggers and sweatpants.
Yeah.
I like loose.
Yeah. Okay. That was Halloween Jokic, even though I don't think he wore it for Halloween. Next up, Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders. Peaky Blinders, the hat for sure, but I also, to me, that's a Serbian fellow, That's
Look at the tails
Serbian
on that
guy.
suit, though.
Oh, man.
Just floating out there.
That hat is another... He's one of the few people that can kind of pull that one off, man.
Somehow. I can
Somehow.
probably count the number of people who can pull that off on my hand.
I know, man. There's very, very few. Many have tried, Many have tried. Not many athletes have tried, I feel like.
No.
But yeah, Jokic really worked this one in.
NBA players? No way.
D-Line used to be a noted Peaky Blinders cap man before we knew him.
I can
Wait,
see that.
what?
I've seen the pictures.
I've
seen the pictures.
I'm sorry, I gotta go on a deep dive tonight.
Yo, we got to find one of those pictures.
Yeah.
Next up, I think I have another Peaky Blinders suit. Yeah, but just the dark version.
With the full length peacoat, this is kind of this is very Peaky Blinders, and the thicker fold over turtleneck.
The hat makes this look though.
I agree.
It would not be the same if it wasn't for the hat.
It does really solidify the kind of henchman vibe, you know, the like classy rich villain is what we're looking at.
He's doing a really good job with the contrast between the 3 different shades of gray as well, but not having them be far enough apart where they stand out, but complement each other. I really appreciate that.
I agree. His stylist did a great job with that.
Yeah. Coming in at number 2 now. What do you call this one? Orange sherbet?
Oh yeah, this is a sherbet for sure. This is bold.
So he wore this in a game, I think it was against the Bucks, that he did not play in.
I that's a tough color, I feel like, for white people. I'll just say it like that. But he's making it work.
This popped.
This did pop. I would look so bad in that, man.
Oh, I would look like the cast, or I'd look like Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber.
You called this the Miami Vice when you sent me the
Miami
list
Vice,
earlier. I
that's
thought
right.
that was a good way to describe it.
Yeah, this is Miami Vice. Yeah, for sure. That was an incredible suit, though. And then coming in at number 1, we had to do it. Despicable Me Gru.
I mean, actually, this was the most. Are we sure we know this guy?
You know what's the craziest part about this? He did this before a playoff
game, dude.
against the Lakers.
A playoff game. We were like, he won't do any commercials. Joke's on you. He'll dress up as Gru for a playoff game.
He used the Lakers to promo a movie for his kid.
That's how much he knew he was going to win that series, by the way. Because if you lose, like Paul George has done this to himself several times. If you wear something silly and you don't perform, you're in trouble. But he walked in like this knowing he was going to win.
Insane.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
The Eric hat has been found.
Oh,
Eric hat
baby,
has
did
been
we
on.
find... Oh, my God.
Holy smoke.
He looks good.
He does look good. Look at the
He actually kind of pulls it off.
He
I'm
is-
very
he is pulling it
surprised,
off.
but he
Well,
is.
if you're an artiste, you can pull it off.
Yeah, that's the thing. Eric is an actual artist.
Yeah.
And you know it because he's got the suit jacket over the graphic
Oh,
t-shirt.
definitely a graphic tee
Yeah.
that he made. And then the suit jacket over. When was I've never seen Eric in a suit jacket.
Yeah, dude.
Except at Brandon Spano's wedding.
Did he wear a suit jacket to that?
He was in the
He
wedding.
did. He did. He was in the
that's
wedding.
right. He
He
was
was
in the
in the
wedding.
freaking
He didn't have a
wedding.
He had to take his hat off. That was a big deal. Wow. It's incredible. Well, Eric, now I know what you would wear to Comic-Con next time you're invited. It's good to see you, man.
Eric in a suit jacket. I've only seen it once.
Eric's in the chat today, by the way. Doing a great
He's very much in the
very
chat.
much in the chat.
All right. We've got a couple super chats before we head out. Let's hit those.
Elijah Amos, it's my birthday today, so they better win tomorrow. They need P-Watt to get minutes before the playoffs. He is so good, but still raw. Love the pod.
Adam has been throwing out there that he wants to see P-Watt in the starters.
I know. He even tried to trade Christian Brown.
What?
Yeah, I know. I know.
I really want to see it too. We've seen 0 minutes of P-Watt at the 2. I don't think it's his natural position, but I just kind of want to try it. The Celtics could be an interesting team to try it against.
It's a really, really good point. It is. What else do we got super chat wise? Mr. Exquisite Nugget. No Kale, no Eric, no DNVR Sports. Yes, vote and win. This blame game on Murray has to end. A trade that makes us better plus winning the chip fixes everything.
Blame game. Who's playing the blame game? I'm just reading off stats.
Every show, you go. Every show, there's a Murray conversation, and then all the chats you see at the end are, "When are you guys going to talk about Murray?" All right, that's my rant. I'm ready to go.
We did talk about Jamal. A lot of pressure on him tomorrow.
A lot of pressure on him tomorrow. I would agree with that.
Great show. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out in the Toyota chat. And Nuggets-Celtics tomorrow, man. I'm excited. Could be a big moment for Denver. Could be another turning point in the season, maybe. But there are going to be a lot of eyes on that game. Hoping for a win. Hoping it can kind of keep the Nuggets momentum going.
Heck yeah, man. And I hope you come by the bar tomorrow to hang out with us and watch
We'll
it.
be here tomorrow. Should be a fun night. Should be a really fun week at the bar leading up to Broncos game on Sunday. And quick reminder, we are running a playoff season limited time diehard special intro offer to become a DNVR diehard. $48 running this with the Broncos playoff run going on right now. Become a diehard. So many awesome perks. You get access to all the content on thednvr.com, roundtables, awesome articles from Vogt. You get the entire site as well, so coverage with other sports as well. You get discounts to our takeovers. I just heard about our next takeover on a call today. Really excited about that. Tailgates, you get a discount at the bar, merch. Great time to become a diehard. Limited time intro offer, $48. Sign up at thednvr.com right now. And yeah, that's all the time we got.
Good show, man. And I'm excited for this game tomorrow. Like maybe the most excited I've been all year for a Nuggets game.
Me too. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll talk to you tomorrow.